Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall.
105.9 FM.
And AM 630.
WMAL.
It is 6:36 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Brian Wilson, Larry O'Connor in the house today. And you know, Larry, as you move from L.A., L.A. has a lot of traffic.
We have some nasty traffic.
But they got nothing like we got around here. I mean, I'm serious. I've driven in both. And you're going to find that the gridlock around here...
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. So that's why we have a Dr. Gridlock.
Yeah, we have no Dr. Grid. We don't even have, like, you know, a nurse gridlock or a intern gridlock.
Well, we in Washington, D.C., when we want to talk about traffic issues, we always turn to Dr. Gridlock from the Washington Post. He's on the line right now. How are you, Dr. Gridlock?
Doctor's in the house, guys.
All right.
Oh, he does house calls.
He does. Isn't that great? I mean, what doctor does that these days? Hey, listen, we wanted to have you on because, you know, the Commonwealth of Virginia this weekend is going to open up the hot lanes. And you know what? I thought I knew a lot about the hot lanes and how they were going to operate. But as I've started reading some of the stuff that you've written about it, it's very clear to me I didn't quite understand the whole concept. So first of all, is this going to be a real help for people who live in Virginia?
I think so, but we won't actually know that for a couple of years. It'll take a real long time for people to get used to these things, stick their toes in the water, decide if they like them. We'll also have to watch for some potentially unintended consequences of these new lanes, some new traffic patterns that will exist only because these new lanes exist. But on the whole, I think, yeah, this will be a good thing for Washington commuters.
All right, so I was not aware of this thing called dynamic tolling. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, this is a new concept for Washington. We're not that used to tolling in the first place. Dynamic tolling is a completely new concept for us in the Washington area. The toll can be different every single day. It can vary from half hour to half hour. It all depends on how much congestion there is in those lanes. The concept behind dynamic tolling is to guarantee you that the ride you have on Tuesday is going to be about the same as the ride you had on Monday. That almost never happens in the Washington area,
right,
but it does happen supposedly with dynamic tolling.
I mean, do I understand it correctly that the idea is to keep the lanes moving at least at 45 miles an hour? And so if it starts to pack up and starts to slow down, they will increase the rate so that fewer people might choose to not use it.
You got it. That's very good. You're all set.
Well, okay, but then there are all these questions about, well, how if you have three people in the car, you can go for free, right?
You can go for free, but you must have a special new Easy Pass called an Easy Pass Flex that will signal to the toll reading equipment that you're claiming the free carpool exemption.
All right, but here's the other question. Now, so if you've got that special pass, why wouldn't you just leave the switch on all the time?
Yeah, no matter how many people are in the car.
Well, if you're driving solo and you've got that switch set to the carpool setting, it's not just the toll reading equipment that's going to see that signal. The state police are going to see that signal too, and those guys can count.
All right, Doctor. Here, I find it fascinating that this is coming in, and I do like the idea of it. It's sort of like a pay as you go if you want to get out of the jam and use these lanes. But what frustrates me is that so often the traffic problems are caused by construction. You look at the Metro Rail deal that's going on all the way to Dulles. That's causing huge amounts of traffic delays. So basically, the government construction projects is causing the delay in the first place, and to get out of that delay, you then have to pay and give more money back to the government who caused the delay. Isn't there a problem here?
There's always a problem, and that's why I have a full employment.
Oh, I see. So you're the lobbyist behind these ideas.
Oh, it's my secret. But the hot lanes are done now. We've suffered along with the construction of these things for 4 years. We're fired up and ready to go, as they say.
And we should point out the fact they got done early and under budget, actually, and because this was the first time Virginia's done sort of a private-public partnership. Did you follow that whole project and the way that they went about it?
This could be the way of the future. If we're not going to pay for new highways through the gas tax, the governments are getting kind of desperate, so they they're more and more willing to go for these public-private partnerships where the private partners pick up the construction cost, or most of it, and then in exchange they get the tolls for most of the rest of the century.
All right, so here is my question, and that is that we've got these marvelous new lanes in Virginia. Then you come across the American Legion Bridge, and there's nothing. I mean, is that going to cause a problem?
Not in the early going. What the folks who operate the lanes say is that they do not expect to add traffic to the Beltway. What they're trying to do is get you on certain days to give up on the regular lanes and go for the express lanes, that you would be willing to pay extra, but you're not a new commuter. You're just making a different choice.
Yeah, so it's going to be you're saying that at least initially it will not be any worse congestion than we already have.
Not initially, but over time, as they say, if you build it, they will come. We may very well, a few years from now, see a lot more traffic on that side of the Beltway.
All right. By the way, the ICC, is it? I drive it occasionally. I love it. I mean, I love the fact that I'm going to drive it today. But is it performing as people expected that it would, traffic level wise?
It's performing better than the state of Maryland had projected it would at this point in its lifetime.
Yeah.
What's bothering Washingtonians is that they get on the ICC and they don't see any traffic congestion. We never see highways without traffic congestion. So it seems like something's wrong. But it isn't. It's exactly the way it was supposed to be. You're supposed to get an easy ride on that.
And so is it actually having the intended consequence of actually lessening traffic in other places?
It most likely is not affecting traffic on the Beltway. That's not what the planners told us it would do. They told us it would affect traffic on some of the secondary roads.
Uh-huh.
And I think it has to some extent, although I'd love to see more improvement of that.
And will they raise the speed limit there, do you think?
Maybe, but it'll only go up 5 miles an hour if it goes up at all.
Yeah, from what? It's now, what is it, 60?
It's now 55. It could go up to
60, okay.
Well, listen, we do traffic and weather first on the 5s together here on WMAL Mornings on the Mall every single day. But if for some reason you're on the 7s and you can't wait for the next 5, you can always check out Dr. Gridlock over at the Washington Post.
Right.
In fact, they can call you personally, right, Doctor? Can we give out your number?
They should send me a letter.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Gridlock. Robert Thompson at 6:44.